Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the weekly NR2003 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season here on the channel. You guys have been enjoying this series all year long, and I can actually tell you right off the bat to start today, if you've been enjoying these weekly NASCAR 2003 series, we actually have a new series on the way that's going to have a handful of episodes, but I'm not going to talk about what it is yet, but I'll talk about it at a later date. But I am joined by my good friend of JayCook. We're back to the normal, just myself and Jay in the booth today. Jay, here we are today at Dover. How are we feeling about this race today?
Always enjoy coming to Dover. Now that we're back to the other package, this track is much better. With the high downforce, this track was very bad. But with low downforce, this track is always interesting. It's always entertaining. It's the Monster Mile. I mean, there's anything can happen here with the way that these corners are. It's drivers have described it like dropping off a roller coaster going down into turns one and turn three. So I'll be interested today to watch and see if there's any kind of wrecks that do happen, how they kind of clean themselves off, and if we wind up seeing a big pileup like we've seen here several times.
Definitely always a risk of seeing a potential big crash, not only in real life at Dover, but definitely in NR 2003, where we've seen some huge crashes this season now, as we see up front. Denny Hamlin there alongside Joey Logano on the front row. We've done some testing. We actually have the AI difficulty at 110. It's not very often we get to max it out, but we have maxed it out for this race. But coming into to today, Jay, we have a very interesting point situation going on. We've had a couple guys win this season that really would not be anywhere near the playoffs right now without a victory. Ross Chastain at Talladega, Cole Custer earlier this season at Homestead, Miami. Even Joey Logano, surprisingly, with his win at Phoenix, he would actually be outside looking in as well by about 14 points right now without his victory. So there's a couple playoff spots right now that have been you could kind of call wasted for some of these guys that you look at just outside of the grid that could be in right now, like Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, even Kyle Busch. So we've seen how this season's going with these surprise winners. We know that guys like Keselowski, Kyle Busch, they're running out of time and they're running out of potential playoff positions. What's the goal coming into today?
I think the ultimate goal is still you have to get a win. I mean, with the way that the standings are playing out, with the way the points are, it's all still super close. So you can make it up on points. But if you're someone like Alex Bowman, who's almost 50 points down, that's going to be very hard to overcome. It's starting to become starting to be hard to overcome for Truex, who's getting down to 46 out. So it's and even really for Kyle Busch too at 30 out. That's going to be pretty tough to overcome at this point. So I think the ultimate goal has to be get a win, but at the very least finish in the top 10 in all the stages and get top fives. Start clicking off top fives each and every week. If you can do that, maybe you can gain these points up.
We'll, of course, talk about the playoff situation more and more throughout this episode as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season. About halfway now, as the green flag is out and we are underway. Denny Hamlin, who's already got a win, leads the way down into turns one, but right off the bat, we have his teammate Martin Truex Jr., who's well outside of the playoffs, looking to the inside here as we come through out of turns two, side by side, down the back straightaway. Everybody gets clean through one and two as Truex early on here on this opening lap, moving to the lead to take command of this 40 car field here as he comes through out of turns four. Hamlin actually with a good run there on the exit of the corner. I think, Jay, we've seen the outside work here at Dover in the past. You'll see a driver kind of maybe trying to diamond the corner a little bit. So honestly, I think this could be a very competitive race where we might see the inside and the outside working instead of just one lane.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll see both lanes working as well. We've seen that here in the past, and it's just always it's never really about lane choice that much here at Dover as much as it is actually having the drivability in the car. The setups matter here a lot, and the way you're driving it as a driver matters a lot too. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about it, but I think the best way to go about it is to back these corners up early and then get the run through the middle of the corner and off the exit of the corner.
There you see Truex leading the first couple of laps as Brad Keselowski, another driver in need of a very good finish here today at Dover, is currently inside the top five over Kyle Larson. Jay, once again, we've seen it time and time again, and we've talked about it so many times this season already. Kyle Larson, last week, Darlington in the Goodyear 400 in position to win over the 12 of Ryan Blaney after getting ahead, and there was some pit strategy, but then out of the pit lane he crashed himself off of Austin Dillon, who was trying to pit. Larson trying to exit. They just came together, and I mean that's really just a story of Kyle Larson's season at this point.
Yeah, you can add that as another tally of a race that he should have won or could have won and threw it away. This time, one of the few that he's thrown it away himself, and not something that he couldn't control or something that his team did. So yeah, once again another mistake by Larson, but I mean he's still good in points. He's obviously got that win that's got him locked in. I think his major goal right now is just to get either more wins or just get playoff points, so that way he can feel a little bit more secure when the late rounds start coming in the playoffs later this season.
Now, do you look at Larson as a potential favorite today? He's been very strong here in the past. He's actually won with Chip Ganassi Racing back in 2019, so we know he knows how to get around this track. So, is he one of your favorites?
With the way Larson's been this season, I think he's one of my favorites pretty much at every track. I mean, he's been arguably the most dominant guy of the season, and I like you mentioned there, he's won here before as well. With Chip Ganassi, so I really do think that he's found his home at Hendrick, and he's looked really good so far this season. So I think you have to count him as a favorite at just about everywhere.
And just behind Larson in ninth place is Eric Almirola, who I think has caught us both off guard. He is the overall points leader right now here in our season, and he won a race earlier this season. He lucked into that win, and then he kind of fell off. And then all of a sudden, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, well, he lucked into another win at Kansas Speedway with a very late pass on Denny Hamlin. But then he's backed that up with a couple really strong finishes. So now Almirola finds himself leading the standings as Alex Bowman currently rounds out the top 10. Bowman Jay comes into today 49 points below the cut line. Last week he lost 1 point, just making the situation worse, of course, but he didn't lose too much in the end of the day. But we have seen how that season's been going for that 48 team with Hendrick Motorsports. Probably the worst car all season for HMS, but here he is so far after 9 laps completed as we start lap 10, running up here in the top 10, trying to get some very important stage points for that team.
He's got to get stage points as well. It's crucial at this point. He's gotten to the point now where being 49 points out and almost halfway through the regular season, you have to get stage points. It's a requirement almost at this point. So he's got to really start having better performance and not just getting lucky finishes at the end. He's got to be there all day long. He's got to be inside the top 10 all day long, and he needs to have he needs to have better adjustments made to keep him in that top 10 and get points. And he needs to do that pretty much for every single race of the regular season.
It's pretty calm up front, by the way, right now, as they are all single file pretty much throughout the whole top 10. Denny Hamlin's putting a little bit of pressure on his teammate of Martin Truex Jr. there as they all come through out of turns two. The two Roush Fenway drivers of Ryan Newman as well as Chris Buescher battle it out into turns 3. Newman, he was in the playoffs earlier this season. He's been having a rough stretch, and now his team at Buescher is starting to go through a bit of a rough stretch as they are now under attack from Bubba Wallace. There you got Tyler Reddick just outside of the top 10. Daniel Suarez actually blowing up into turns 1. This could cause huge issues now as he is right in the racing line. And oh, wait, I think because he is blowing an engine that his car suddenly becomes like a unhittable or untangible object or something like that, Jay. And that right there probably just saved probably a quarter of the field.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. I have never seen that before. Honestly, I've seen guys blow up and seen them get ran over. That's something I've never seen before. So, good thing that happened. That he didn't cause any damage to anyone. But it is unfortunate that even though he was quote unquote ghost car, he still slowed up a majority of the field.
Now, I mean, as well, we got to look at the story here for Daniel Suarez. I mean, in the current situation, another driver that's had a lot of mechanical issues this season and like steering wheel issues even. Suarez right now 12 points above the cut line, the final position in the playoffs. He's already out of the race. You saw him coming to the pit lane right there. It's a camshaft issue for the Trackhouse driver of Daniel Suarez. Jay mentioned a lot of drivers lost a bunch of time there slowing up for Suarez, who was unfortunately right in the racing line. But Jay, right there, that just opened up the door for a guy like Brad Keselowski, who currently runs P4. If he finishes 4th right there, boy, gets what? 7 stage points, and now all of a sudden he'll only be 5 points below the cut line.
Yeah, that's the best thing Brad Keselowski could see. He's running in 4th right now, and if he stays there, that's going to alone almost put him into the playoffs just based on the stage finish. And then if he's able to stay there the entire race, I mean, he's going to be way in front of Suarez. That's Suarez finishing in last. That's going to hurt him no matter what. No matter what happens here, I think Keselowski's into the playoffs, and then we're probably going to see a guy like Kyle Busch make up some ground as well, and we'll wind up seeing Suarez at least 10 points out of the playoffs.
Speaking of Kyle Busch, right now, not a good start to what's been a rough season so far for that 18. They've looked strong recently here. They've been clicking together a couple of good runs, but right now Kyle Busch down in P23. So a very rough race so far. He hasn't really been in contention for a win. We saw him run well at Martinsville earlier this season and have a chance there, but right now he's actually getting passed by the 37 of Ryan Preece right now. Actually, I saw some left side damage a little bit on that car right there. As you can just barely see it. So someone got into him a little bit, but now he's under attack even from Corey LaJoie, Ross Chastain, and there you see the rest of the pack. Another guy that I noticed that's running really rough right now is the number 14 of Chase Briscoe for Stewart Haas Racing, all the way down and currently P35. So a really rough race for him as well, and Eric Jones. So they're not off to very good starts right now, but we'll see if they can pick it up, as it is all single file currently here after the first 20 laps. Now, Jay, I mean, is that really just an effect of everyone trying to settle in, make sure they get into a groove before they maybe try to get going here? I mean, we know we have a pit stop as well before stage one does come to a close.
Yeah, everybody just trying to get into a groove right now. They're trying to figure their car out. They haven't gotten any adjustments yet, so I'm sure that there's at least a few in this field who want adjustments, if not just about every car. So that's probably a big thing that's happening right now. And again, pit stop coming up soon. We're about halfway through the fuel run, so these guys are probably just kind of riding out right now. I mean, it's still early in the race. We got 220 laps left, so nobody really needs to push the issue right now.
I believe I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode the stage lengths for this one. So we are doing 70 laps in stage 1, 70 laps in stage 2. So stage 1 ends when we hit lap 71, stage 2 ends when we hit lap 141, and then we race it to lap 240 to decide the race here now, as Martin Truex Jr. continues to lead the way. You got the Rick Ware cars going at it. Now is the 37 actually on the pit lane. I was mentioning you see the left hand side damage right there. My guess is maybe a potential tire rub on that 37 car. They're going to come in and get it fixed up, and they're going to throw 4 tires on it, of course. Now it's Brad Keselowski trying to have a look at Chase Elliott, but definitely right now can't seem to make much happen here, as Truex continues to command the field. I mean, Jay, another guy right there. Truex has had a terrible season. JGR, really the only guy that's done anything for them is Denny Hamlin, and he's been running good every single week, and the rest of the team has really struggled. So right now we're at least seeing 2 of their guys do good, and that's pretty much the most we've seen all season.
Yeah, I think that the best comparison, I think we've also made this a couple times now. The best comparison for me is they're the NR version of real life Stewart Haas. We've had really only Denny Hamlin uh, look competitive, just like we've only really had Kevin Harvick look competitive for HHR in real life. So far, I mean, this is Truex's track. I mean, this is his hometown track. He's always ran well here. So one of his 7 hometown tracks. Like I mentioned, he's always ran well here. So far, he's looking good. And if he's able to win, that's gonna, like I said at the top, that's gonna lock him in, and he's not really gonna need to focus on points anymore. So I think his immediate concern right now is keeping this lead and holding on to it for the next 216 laps or so.
I mean, we also got probably a good stretch of races coming here for Martin Truex Jr. I mean, we got here today, Dover, one of his 7 home tracks, like you mentioned. But then we know Truex, of course, is a good road course racer. We go to the Circuit of the Americas next week for May 23rd. I'm still a little bit concerned about that because I don't know how. I haven't heard great things about the NASCAR Racing 2003 AI at Circuit of the Americas. But nonetheless, no matter what it is, we got to do it at that track, and we're going to see what happens there. But like I said, we know Truex is good at road course racing. And then we got Charlotte. We've seen him dominate the field at the Coca-Cola 600 a few times. And then we go right back to another road course at Sonoma. So, Jay, I mean, there's a good stretch of races right here for Martin Truex Jr. coming up.
And not just a road course in Sonoma, a road course at Sonoma where Truex has won, I think, twice in a row now. He's looking for the three-peat, and he's always a contender there. So I think that this stretch of races for Truex is the most important part of the regular season. These are some of his best tracks, and if he doesn't at least win one of these, I think that's a bit of a failure for that team.
And there you see a move from Brad Keselowski into turns 1 on Chase Elliott, trying to get past and move up into P3. And that move right there would now give him 8 points in stage 1, and sure enough, he clears Elliott. So if he finishes there by the end of stage 1, he will now only be, I believe, 4 points or something like that below the cut line. So closer and closer for Brad Keselowski as he tries to run now down Denny Hamlin into turns one as Truex just continues to barely be in front. It looks like Denny Hamlin's just kind of relaxing right now in that runner-up position as Kyle Larson, he's trying to get past last week's winner of Ryan Blaney right now for that 7th position, but still overall very calm throughout the whole field. I don't think there's actually any really side-by-side action. I did see a little bit right here. You got Christopher Bell going at it with his teammate of Kyle Busch. So Kyle Busch trying to work his way forwards and make that pass there on Christopher Bell. Another guy, Jay, we've been seeing struggling. Bell was in the playoffs earlier this season after probably 7 or 8 races, but here he is in his first season with Joe Gibbs Racing, really struggling as well.
He was running surprisingly well at the start of the season. I think he was kind of matching his teammate Denny Hamlin's performance. He wasn't necessarily in contention for any kind of wins, but he was running decent. And then all of a sudden, here recently, he's just kind of fallen off a cliff and has now dropped way out of the playoffs. So it's not really that surprising to me. I did not expect him to be a playoff contender this season. I was kind of surprised at how good he was doing to start off the year. But overall, that team's performance is certainly not where it wants to be or where they want it to be. And I'm sure he would probably be a little bit more competitive if it wasn't for the JGR stifling right now.
Definitely a long ways to go for Christopher Bell if he wants to get into the playoffs now. As you see, Chris Buescher, who was leading the overall standings earlier this season, now actually falling down the order here today in P17 as he was up towards the top 10. But overall, the last few races, he's been kind of running in the mid-teens area. But we have also decreased his rating, so he kind of gets a bit more accurate to what it's been in real life. Now, as we're still working on those ratings here and there, trying to get him as close as we can to what these guys should be doing in real life right now. As you see, just outside of the top 10, that's the battle for 10th right there. Bubba Wallace trying to put the pressure on Alex Bowman. Bubba Wallace, I think, Jay, I mean, so far this season compared to real life, it's been quite a bit different for that 2311 Racing team. Bubba right now inside the playoffs in our series, and he's right now 34 points above the cut line coming into today. But in real life, of course, they are, I think, about 50 points or so below the cut line. So we're seeing them do, though, really well here on the NR2003 side.
Yeah, certainly a lot different in our 2003 season compared to real life. He's had some struggles. That team hasn't looked the greatest, but so far in NR, he's looked really good. He's been competitive. He hasn't he hasn't like dominated a race or anything yet, but he's at least running well. And I think he's performing a bit more like the team would have wanted in NR than they are in real life. So he's looking he's looking pretty good inside the playoffs right now, and I have to think that unless Truex or Kyle Busch or a couple others really turn it up, I have to think he's going to make the playoffs.
And there you see Keselowski still putting on some pressure on Denny Hamlin. We are getting close to some pit stops here, so we will actually take a quick break after the pit stop cycle here, as it's been very calm so far. Now, as this will take us to the final stretch of the stage once they complete that. But in our test run, they pitted about lap 46, 47, so we expect to see these guys in within 5 laps or so. Now, I mean, Jay, what are the tires going to mean here at Dover? I mean, it's a track known for, being a little bit tough on the tires, but not as tough as we have other tracks on the schedule. So, I mean, do you maybe short pit here? You think you're going to gain a huge advantage, or I mean, is it not going to be much of a significant gain if you come in a couple laps early?
I don't think it's necessarily worth to try and short pit here. I mean, with the stage length that we have, there's almost no point in doing it, especially when we're already this far into the run. So I would just go with 4 tires here. It's not like Darlington to where the tires matter, where they make a huge difference, where you can gain like 3 seconds in a lap almost. They definitely always make a difference no matter what. So when you get on fresh tires, that's definitely an advantage. But it's not going to matter so much here like it would at a place like Darlington or a couple other tracks on the schedule like Atlanta. So I think just easy call, pit, go run the fuel out as long as you can, just pit for 4 tires, and then just go to the end of the stage.
There's a move for P2 right now. Keselowski to the inside right here of Denny Hamlin as we come through out of turns 4. And that's really the only car I think we've been seeing inside the top 10 consistently be able to make some moves on people now, as Hamlin does clear him into the corner, so the run and the move doesn't quite work out for Brad, but still, nonetheless, he had the opportunity to make that, and that's something we've been lacking so far here in the first 43 laps, ever since the initial start anyways, now after everybody kind of got settled out. But, I mean, you see there that as soon as Hamlin kind of defends over Keselowski, he's able to run down the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., so I mean, Jay, this could be a bit of a situation maybe like last week. Ryan Blaney didn't have the fastest car, but he was able to keep the field behind him, and I feel like possibly this is what we could be seeing right here, right now, again in today's race.
It's highly possible. I have yet to really see if that is true or not. I genuinely do at this point think that Truex has had the best car, although maybe it's starting to fall off a bit now on the very end of this long run, as it looks like Denny Hamlin and Keselowski's cars are a bit better than his. As Hamlin's going to try and make the move right here off of turn 2 into turn 3.
Couldn't quite pull it off,
Never
but
mind, Keselowski is
Keselowski.
making a move on him
Oh, they're
now.
pitting.
Oh,
Okay, so we have the pit lane here is quite interesting. So we're gonna keep our eyes right on this right here because there's quite a bit of potential for some cars coming together now. So we're gonna stay focused on this. But I did have the fastest laps up here. Chase Elliott currently with the fastest lap. Hamlin, Almirola, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, and your leader of Truex at the 8th fastest lap so far in this race now. As Hamlin, I'm sure, will be coming around any moment now to come into the pit lane. There's something weird going on there down the front straightaway, but there's the leader of Truex right now into his pit box. So we'll quickly see if Denny Hamlin has come in or not. Yes, he has, and oh, this could get interesting. I saw a tiny bit of contact there, but nothing really significant now as everyone looks pretty safe so far now as we're going to try and get a look on the front. So Martin Truex Jr., hands down, wins the race out of the pit lane now as Keselowski, Logano right there, got into the door of the 9, but I don't really think he's got any damage from that yet. No, the car looks fine there. So they actually got through there pretty clean. So we're going to wait to see where this cycles out. Of course, now we know Denny Hamlin currently on the pit lane as well as everybody coming out here by him. Left side's on for that FedEx Toyota Camry, and he is going to come out just in front of the 78. So now, Jay, I think lap traffic's kind of getting mixed into this as well because the front runners are getting close. So that's going to be a whole extra factor that they're going to have to deal with now, as I believe Kurt Busch is out of field. He is very slow into turns 3 right now. So I think that Kurt Busch maybe ran it too far, Jay.
if he did run it too far, he's lucky that it ran out while he was either down the back straightaway or just coming into turn 3. He got really lucky with that he was able to coast on the pit road and not lose a terrible amount of time. That's certainly going to hurt him track position wise. I'm not too sure where he was running before this pit cycle started happening, but he is lucky that he didn't run out of fuel somewhere like on the front straightaway or in the middle of 1 and 2.
I can tell you right now, Kurt was running in the top 10 before the pit stop cycle now as Truex continues to lead the way. Denny Hamlin actually lost quite a bit of track position, no longer in the second position there. As you see, it's Keselowski. Actually, Hamlin is going to still be in P3. So I only lost one spot. Larson, though, Jay, remember last week at Darlington, I think it was, where we saw Larson gaining quite a bit of track position at times on the pit lane, and right there he just gained about 3 positions. So that 5 team with Hendrick Motorsports, their pit crew clearly over these last couple weeks has figured something out. They've got the consistency down at this point.
Well, if you go back to last week, his first pit stop, I believe that's the one where he lost about 4 or 5 spots on pit road. It might have been a little bit more than that. And then ever since then, his crew has kind of turned it up and been on it. And I think they really used that as motivation to never make that mistake again. And so far, at least through the first pit stop today, they've looked good. And hopefully they can continue that for the rest of this race.
And now you see a lot of traffic that Martin Truex Jr. will be coming up on before the stage comes to a close. So that's going to definitely play a factor before it comes to an end here in stage 1. As Keselowski's actually still struggling here with that 62 of Noah Gragson, one of the rookies here this season. Now, as he will look to the inside right there as they go down into turns 1. But can he complete the pass is the question. I don't think he's going to. And that's going to bring Hamlin right into the picture here as we go down this back straightaway. So he's going to just kind of stay tucked in behind them both now as they sail it off into turns 3. But sure enough, Keselowski gets by Hamlin to the back of him. But now Hamlin's trying to get there, can't quite make it happen. So just under 20 laps to go. I see Matt DiBenedetto actually on the pit lane. Not sure what's going on there, but he is scored a lap down now, so I'm not sure what the situation is with the 21 team. You know, Jay hates to see that one. as Keselowski continues to hold off Denny Hamlin. So an issue there with the 21 team. Maybe they got some type of penalty. But now, with just less than 20 laps to go, we are going to go for a really quick break and come back and bring you to the end here of stage one from Dover. Welcome back here from Dover. Brad Keselowski's gotten through the lap traffic. He is now the first car right behind Martin Truex Jr., but he has also brought along some friends. He's got Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson coming through as well. Chase Elliott rounding out your top five currently with Tyler Reddick, Eric Almirola, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Bubba Wallace rounding out the top 10. But here's the battle for the stage win. We've seen second place run down Truex already and then struggle to pass him. But this time, other than Denny Hamlin, it's Brad Keselowski that's going to be trying to make that move. So we'll see if he can pull it off now as you see Reddick making a pass on a lap car. But right there, as you saw the field going to turn 3, Bubba Wallace currently the last spot in the top 10. No pressure whatsoever. He's got about 3 seconds, actually, to 11th place of Alex Bowman. So right now, no pressure for him. Ryan Newman, he had an issue during the break. He actually came to a stop on the apron out of turns 2. He is now 5 laps down. Whatever the issue was, they have got that figured out. Still don't know what happened to Matt DiBenedetto, but he is now 2 laps down after we saw him come into the pit lane for an extra pit stop. So potentially a penalty it was serving, or maybe a loose lug nut. Who knows at this point now? As I saw Ryan Newman actually come up at a really awkward angle, but it looks like they got that settled out here as we get back up towards this top 10 battle, coming to the final 5 laps already in stage 1. And I actually see up towards the front here, Keselowski ends up losing a few positions. Hamlin got by, and now Kyle Larson's making a charge to the front. Jay, I mentioned earlier, Larson, yeah, I mean, favorite all year long, but here he is in Dover, a track he's really good at, and with that good pit stop, putting him in a good position. Now he's getting on the attack, making some good moves here and getting up towards that front.
Larson gained spots on the pit road, and he's also starting to gain spots on track too. He's looked really good this run. It seems like he's been one of the faster cars, certainly climbing his way up to the field. I don't know if he's going to be able to get past Hamlin and Truex here, but certainly going to put him in a great position to start stage 2. And if the team can keep up with the adjustments, keep up with the track, I mean, who knows? Larson may be the one who winds up running away with this thing.
There's a move right there from Denny Hamlin up the inside of Truex on the exit of the corner. Truex falling off, and Hamlin's going to clear him on the exit of turns 4. But here comes Kyle Larson. Hamlin is actually going to leave the door wide open for Larson into turns 1. We've seen Larson actually throw away a couple stage wins in the last moments of a stage. Actually, he threw one away a few races ago to Denny Hamlin, and now he's trying to take the stage win away as they're side by side down the back straightaway into turn 3. 2 laps to go in stage 1 once we cross the line here. As sure enough, Larson up to first. Truex goes from 1st to 4th in a couple laps as we come through to start lap 69. Nice. I was hoping, there we go. I was waiting for the input from Mr. Cook now as we come through out of turns 2. Larson leads the way down the back straightaway. Did not see this coming whatsoever here as Truex down to 4th. Elliott still in P5. Hamlin got to the lead for a second, loses it immediately to Kyle Larson. Here they come to take the white flag, and I'll bring up the command right now as they sail it off into turns 1. There is a lap car in front of them. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, but we're about to find out as they exit turns 2. Larson leads down the back straightaway here, and he is in command over Denny Hamlin as they go into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Josh Bilicki holding on to the lead lap, but Kyle Larson out of turns 4 comes to in the final moments to win the first stage here from Dover. Jay, where Kyle Larson was running probably 25 laps ago, I did not expect to see him coming through to win this first stage.
I didn't expect to see him winning this first stage with 3 laps to go. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Denny Hamlin makes the move on Truex, and then Larson's able to make the move on Hamlin right as that move is still being done. So, wow, I mean, that car looks great right now. Certainly seems like when you were mentioning earlier in this stage how Truex might be doing a Blaney again where he doesn't have the best car, but he was just able to keep in clean air. Certainly seemed like that was the case because he kind of started dropping like a rock there as soon as he got past.
And now here we are on the pit lane as we...
There is a 96 and a 53 having issues.
Not sure what that one is about. We're just going to ignore that, though. That was our back markers as I see the 96 is still stopped on track. I'm sure they'll get that sorted out as Tyler Reddick just drilled the 47 in the side now. But got to keep an eye on these front runners. Kyle Larson, that team's been very strong on the pit lane. They might have to take a Chase Elliott decided, you know what, you're going to damage my teammate's car, I'm going to do it right back to you. So all of a sudden, we got some cars picking up some damage here on the pit lane, and Kyle Larson, he got it fixed right. He might need some more repairs after that happened right there, but I think he's okay actually. Kozlowski got it fixed as well, so they have gotten a little bit of damage, but thank goodness they're on the pit lane when it happened. They fixed it right away, and Kyle Larson actually, even fixing the car, destroyed Denny Hamlin on the paint lane. And speaking of destroyed, that 52's left side does not look very good either. So let's make sure we'll look through real quick to see if there's any cars with some major damage. I'm not seeing anything so far. Yeah, it looks like everybody's actually pretty clean in terms of what their cars look like. So you saw that top 10 there when the stage 1 came to a close, and now we are going to go for a very quick break. Actually, not quite sure what's going on here, and I'm very hopeful that they get that sorted out, because that could be a bit of a hazard if they decide to go green with that 96 car just sitting there. So we're going to go for a quick break, get ready to go green here for the start of stage 2, and hope a lot that they have that 96 car out of the way. Well, welcome back from Dover, getting ready to go green for stage 2. Stenhouse, by the way, is not leading. It is Kyle Larson, but there is an issue. By the way, Cole Custer had an engine failure in the pit lane. He is out, so 5 cars out of this race, but we're coming to the green flag, and we have this car. Oh, there we go. Thank goodness, the timing of that was perfect there, Jay. Both of us were pretty concerned right there, but what concerns me more is we have a surprisingly long line here of cars on the inside line. So this is going to open a door, Jay, where Larson's got to get past these 2 slower cars to get himself away from the field. We've seen stage 1s go very clean before, and then we know what happens in stage 2. So who knows what's about to happen here.
Yeah, I don't think I did not realize that there was going to be this many cars to lap down at the end of stage 1. I thought we'd only have about 5 or so. This is a lot more than that, and we also have the 47 right in the front of Kyle Larson there. So really going to be interesting here off the restart. Larson's got to get around these guys as fast as he can.
And Stenhouse got out to a really good start right there. A great launch from him. Of course, if a caution comes out right now, he'd be really, really thrilled about that. But out of turns 2, Larson doesn't really make up any ground right there. He loses the spot to the 3. That is not for actual track position, as Larson continues to actually lead the way. That 78 is right on the back bumper there, that 00. That could have gotten very close right there. As Larson, though, and importantly, is in front of Denny Hamlin, and he will get clear from the looks of it right there, that 00 of Quinn House. So far, pretty clean. I do see some 3 wide back there, so we're going to get a look on that real quick as they go into turns 3, the 34, the 24, and the 16. Hopefully they get that sorted out. Yes, they do. Out of turns 4, they are all good to go. They do get closer. There was a tiny bit of contact I saw between the 34 and the 20, but other than that, they are pretty good right now. As we're going to get back focused on the leader, Kyle Larson makes a pass there on the 3 of Austin Dillon. Hamlin's not even past the 00 yet, so now, Jay, that traffic's really coming into his advantage, because now he's got 2 cars between himself and Hamlin, and that's just going to allow him to open up that gap even more.
Super lucky for him that he was able to get out there in front of them, and Denny Hamlin has not been able to so far. If he's able to get around the 47 to Stenhouse here, that would be even better, because I think he'll be able to run away a bit and build up a bit of a gap between him and Denny Hamlin. I think the 47 is certainly holding him up right now.
3rd place right there is Tyler Reddick, and he is even further behind. So there's a lot of guys here for track position that are being held up right now as you look through this order. And I mean, you just see some slow cars planted right in the way. Alex Bowman on the outside, he's not in the lane with the slow car, so he might be able to take advantage of this now as it's 2x2. Still pretty calm nonetheless now as they go off into turns 3 and 4, but back up towards that front. Now Kyle Larson making a pass there on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to put him back a lap down, but Hamlin trying to get up towards the back of that 5-bit car. Can't quite get to the inside of the 3 of Austin Dillon right there. You do see a little bit of nose damage on the front of that 3 car. My guess is that happened somewhere in the pit lane there at the end of stage 1. But Hamlin looks to the inside right here as they come through to turns 4. We know that 11 cars fast. Jay, we've seen Hamlin struggle at Dover in the past, but he's gotten a lot better in recent years. So, I mean, another guy, I mean, he's had a very strong season in general, not only in real life, but in the NR2003 series as well. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised at this point that he only has 1 win.
At the moment, it certainly seems like for this race, it's going to be Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. They both looked really strong there at the end of stage 1, and Kyle Larson definitely, in my opinion, looked like he had the better car compared to Denny Hamlin, but adjustments can be made.
Oh,
Things can be done. Track can change. There's a giant slow up in turn 2.
I believe. I don't know if a caution's out or not. I don't see any caution lights, but we got two car. Oh, the 37 just hit the inside wall. I'm trying to get a good angle of it. I'm not sure what just happened there. He's still, that's the 16 there, and there's the 37, but the green flag is still out. As you see the 37, he's going to pull to the left. I'm sure he's bringing it to the pits. That's the second time we've seen him have issues already, and sure enough, he will be pitting right here as Kyle Larson's going to come through, bringing Denny Hamlin. Not sure what happened there. We're going to get a quick look here in just a few moments' time. We're going to make sure everything's settled up before we go and bring you the replay, because right here, they're still scrapping it out quite a bit, but we're just going to make sure there's no three-wide action. But look at that. The 24 of William Byron actually with some damage on the right side, and he is actually going to suffer quite a bit from that. He's trying to pass Rick Ware Racing's Cody Ware in the 51 right now, as Byron is still P15 right now on the scoreboard, but everything got really jumbled up right there, so it's definitely hard to keep track of what's going on now, as it still says Byron's 15. So we're going to get a quick look now. Seems like things are calm, but out of nowhere, chaos kind of kicked off right there. Thank goodness no caution came out. We're going to get a quick look at what just caused that little bit of a moment there out of turns 2. And for this little incident here, 3 wide, and I think it's to do with the track settings where it allows the AI cars actually to go inside of each other. Unfortunately, they took too much, and then Cody Ware just hauled the mail into the next corner. But unfortunately for drivers like Alex Bowman, they got really slowed up. William Byron actually did not pick up that damage from that incident, so we're going to get a quick look at where he picked up that heavy right side damage. At the end of stage 1, William Byron coming out of the pit lane, or out of the pit box, gets hit by Kyle Busch as he pulled out right in front of him. Picked up that right side damage actually way earlier than I anticipated. So unfortunate for Byron now, as it doesn't seem to be affecting him, fortunately, too much here on track. Live look right there at William Byron, the 16 and the 37 of Kaz Grala and Ryan Preece have now retired from the race. And now there's only 23 cars on the lead lap so far, which is a bit surprising, Jay. I mean, we haven't, or it's been green all of stage 1. I mean, all of stage 2 so far as well. So, I mean, I feel like we expected more. We have seen some drivers struggle with some issues like Kurt Busch and then Matt Benedetto as well. But I feel like there should probably still be more cars on the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, we've seen some things happen, and I think it's caused some guys to get slowed down and stuff. I know it certainly has in stage 2. There was probably also a couple of incidences like that in stage 1, which, I mean, there just wound up being a lot more guys on the a lap down than I thought there would be at the end of stage 1. So I mean, a guy like Kurt Busch, I'm guessing he had some kind of issue, and oh yeah, he did. I forgot he ran out of fuel. So I'm sure that there had to be something that made all these cars go a lap down, other than just being slow. But so far, I'm surprised we haven't seen really any cautions aside from the stage caution. We've seen some incidents happen, but none of them have resulted in cautions. And I don't think that's going to last throughout the day. I think we'll keep seeing problems happen. I think we'll probably wind up getting a crash at some point. And then once those cautions do start happening, cautions will breed cautions. I guarantee it.
We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. On lap 90 now, Denny Hamlin has run down Kyle Larson. I mean, we look at the fastest laps currently on the board. Eric Almirola actually has the fastest lap out of anybody, not by much, over Chase Elliott, who is Kyle Larson's teammate. But Hamlin right now, third fastest laps, just barely over Kyle Larson. Not sure how much that is playing a factor into here, but Larson actually pulls away by about a car length right there over Hamlin. But he tries to continue to command the field. Once again, they will be coming up on some lap traffic here momentarily, but right now pretty calm here, as Alex Bowman was one of those guys we mentioned that really suffered from that incident there, causing a huge checkup, and now he is down in 19th position, so not helping his playoff hopes whatsoever right now, as he just barely missed out on some points in stage 1, as well as you see William Byron back on the attack right there. But other than that, very calm here in stage 2 after that incident. Once again, kind of single file racing, and we're going to go once again for a quick break here from Dover and come back in time for the pit stops here, which I'm guessing will be under green flag conditions, and will bring you to the end here of stage 2 from Dover. Welcome back from Dover here, as Kyle Larson continues to lead the way over second place of Denny Hamlin. Now on lap 106. Pit stops should be coming pretty soon. One thing to kind of keep in mind here is during the break, you see on the scoreboard, Tyler Reddick dropped down from third place all the way down to P10. Eric Almirola, Bubba Wallace, they've been moving their way through the field. That 23 looking very, very sporty right now. As you see, Reddick right now actually got passed by the 19 as well of Truex, who started up front, led a majority of stage one, then has fallen off quite significantly as he tries to find a way past that number 3 car of Austin Dillon. But there's the 23 of Bubba Wallace about to make a pass now for third place. Jay, there all of a sudden, as we get to about the midway point of the stage, there seems to be quite a bit of some serious speed in this 23 car.
He's looked really good recently. He's starting to gain some positions, starting to gain some time, and now all of a sudden he's looking. He's looked pretty good all day, but now all of a sudden he's looking really strong. And I think maybe if we get the stage break here, he might be a competitor to get himself up towards this top 10 and even further up the field.
Still
Actually,
side
no,
by
is he
side.
in the top 10? I
He's
can't.
in third place right now, or making a pass
Okay,
for
well,
third.
I cannot see the leaderboard. My apologies.
Yeah, he's going for P3 right now, still side by side. Logano's actually coming into the picture now. And of course, the longer that Almirola forces the issue on maintaining side by side with Bubba Wallace, that's going to allow that 22 to try and take advantage as he gets a good run off the corner each and every single time. But Bubba's just got a good enough entry and center of the corner to remain there now as they come through out of turns two. They're pretty even right here. That might be what Almirola needs, but no, this time Bubba actually gets a really, really good exit right there. So into turn three, he might be able to clear him right here. For a brief moment, yes, he is clear out of turns four. Almirola, will he have enough of a run? No, he does not. Bubba's now got to defend over the 22, though, of Joey Logano into turn three, and it doesn't look like he's going to, but he's going to be fine anyways. Now as Logano and Almirola are going to have to battle it out. So Bubba Wallace in 2311 Racing up to the third position here as we look back towards the front. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin still going P1, P2 now. We've known they've been both strong this season. Larson, of course, the strongest, hands down, throughout the season. And it's a huge surprise that this guy only has one win on the season, and that was at Martinsville Speedway. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on here today now. I mean, Jay, we've looked at what's went wrong for Kyle Larson this season. Is there anything else on the list you can think of potential things that could go wrong to take that 5 car out of potential victory today?
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, this has really been a very Kyle Larson season. I mean, we know he's kind of known as being a not necessarily a choker, but just kind of throws the races away, and then also just winds up. There's also he winds up just not being able to find a way to win, where he's finished second so many times. So I'm not going to call him an absolute choker, kind of like Blaney is known to be. Sorry, Ryan Blaney, but he's kind of had that same thing happen this season where he's looked dominant and he's looked really good. He's just never been able to finish it off, as it looks like they're finally pitting.
Kyle Larson into the pit lane right there as we come to the turns four. And I mean, it doesn't appear anybody is going to follow him. So yeah, Kyle Larson will be the first driver of anyone to pit. That's a bit surprising there. But we're going to see how that works out. I mean, you got to look at the positive thing is Larson's not going to have to deal with anybody else here. So he's going to avoid getting damage, of course, on that car now. As I think back to Darlington last week, and we saw what happened there with Larson coming out of the pit lane, Austin Dillon coming in, and they came together. Jay, if Kyle Larson pits significantly earlier here, comes out, maybe he's on the inside of someone else trying to get to the pit lane in turn three, and gets wiped out again.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen again. I was wondering there if he was going to have to take any time to repair that damage he might have gotten on pit road the last time he was on pit road. But it certainly seems like that he didn't have to, so maybe just pull a fender out, take a quick second to do that, and keep on going. But yeah, he needs to have a clean entrance back onto the track here, not have anything happen like last week, as there's an issue with the 47. Looks like he was thinking he was on pit road when he wasn't.
We saw that happen. We did not show that at the end of stage one, but that happened under caution. It seems like one or two cars per pit stop kind of have a weird moment where they miss the pit lane and then they think they're still in it and they proceed to just ride the pit lane wall. It is really weird. Nothing, of course, we can do about it, unfortunately. But now we watch Denny Hamlin putting on the left sides of the car. Where is he going to come out? I would expect him to be the first one off right here. And sure enough, Hands down, yes, he is. But where is Kyle Larson at? That's really the main question here. Is I'm trying to get a good view of that potentially right now as we come through out of turns two. I see him right here out of turns two. Larson looks like it's going to be a close one here between himself. No, it is not. He blows right on by Denny Hamlin in turns three, and that's going to be quite a lead Kyle Larson has. But now, with just over 20 laps remaining in stage two, Hamlin has about 2 to 3 maybe laps fresher tires. So Jay, I mean, there's still a legitimate chance Hamlin might have the advantage here, maybe be able to run Larson down and pass him.
I don't think we're going to be in the Darlington.
Oh,
Whoa, that was super close. Almost had the reversal of what happened last week to Kyle Larson. But I don't think we're going to be in a situation with Darlington like we were last week, where if you pit one lap sooner than these guys, you'll have the advantage quickly, and then over time you'll lose that advantage. I don't think that's going to happen here. Tires, like I said before, tires don't matter that much. They do matter, but if you pit 2 or 3 laps before somebody, you're not going to really be at a disadvantage. As it almost happens again to Kyle Larson. Man, he's really got to be careful with guys coming off pit road and himself coming off pit road.
wow. So I was mentioning earlier with the track settings with this mod, it allows for the cars to kind of get closer and like kind of get into each other without actually initiating contact. I believe that's just due to the track line that the person that made it and they decided that that was the necessary steps to get the best racing here at this track without causing too many incidents. I'm pretty sure Kyle Larson, if that was not a thing right there, he probably would have crashed on both of those occasions. So if that both of those cars would have maybe been at not even half a car width more to the right, that would have been a race ender probably right there for Kyle Larson both times. So he is very, very fortunate to still be leading this race with 20 laps to go in stage one. But as well, look at all these cars that Kyle Larson's going to have to pass here, Jay. This is not going to be an easy task right now, as he has, as we come to the line, it was 1.6, now 1.7 seconds.
Somebody just dropped down, it looked like, to the inside of the front straightaway there coming off of turn 4. I saw somebody, looked like they took a dead left almost. Maybe not, and it might have just been me seeing things. But yeah, that group of cars is going to certainly pose an issue for Kyle Larson. The only thing I guess he can hope is that he gets through them relatively quickly, and then Denny Hamlin kind of struggles through them. Or if he struggles, he hopes that Denny struggles through them as well. So I think Larson's going to need to just pick a lane here and go for it. And if he's got to go to the outside, he's got to go to the outside. He doesn't need to sit behind these guys and wait for him to be able to get the run or the line that he wants.
I mean, no matter how good Kyle Larson is doing right now, as he does start to look to the inside of Timmy Hill here, I mean, in the back of his head, maybe, or at least in the back of our heads, we know how things have gone wrong for him this season. I'm going into stage three, and I'm thinking, you know what? Something's going to go wrong with this five of Kyle Larson. There's no way that everything's going to go perfect for him.
I think the only time it's gone perfect for him is that race that he won. And I think even in that race, I don't believe he was the dominant car. I don't think he looked like the guy who was going to ultimately win that race. And then he just wound up finding the way to win. So it almost seems like for Larson this season, he needs to not be the best car in order to win. Because whenever he's had the best car, something has always gone wrong for him.
That's a bad sign here if you're a Kyle Larson fan going into stage three, or maybe before even stage two comes to a close. As he comes around out of turn four, coming to 15 laps to go in Dover. That's not a lot of time. It takes just over 20 seconds to get around this track. At about 22 seconds right now is the fastest time we have seen posted by Eric Almirola here today. Now, as Larson, he's doing actually a good job here getting through traffic. Hamlin has closed nearly half a second since Larson has been working his way through, but now, of course, Larson only has to pass one more car, and then he's free for a few laps. But then Denny Hamlin, he's got to work his way through these guys. So it was 1.3. Now it actually is 1.1. So Hamlin closes another couple tenths, but now he is just getting through this traffic. So we're going to see what that gap expands to by the time he gets through now, as Larson kind of seems at a standstill right now. Right behind Anthony Alfredo, one of the Rookie of the Year contenders right here is up ahead. There you see these battles going on with Stenhouse, Chastain, as well as a 62 of Noah Gregson. There you see Alex Bowman continuing his struggle. He is working his way back forwards after that issue that got him set back. Another guy that's really worked his way forwards is Eric Jones. We saw him running in the mid-30s earlier in this race, now up inside the top 20 as well. But Bowman currently P16 once again, Jay. He might be improving, but still 16th right now. Not going to be enough to get him anywhere close to being a playoff contender.
He's certainly in a better position than he was towards the beginning of the stage when the 37 had his issue and he got slowed down. So that's definitely part of what's hurt him. But he's been able to gain a couple of spots, and he hasn't really lost a ton of time either. I think he genuinely does have a decent car today. And so on this stage 3 restart here, if he can keep it clean, he might be able to get himself back inside the top 10. He looks decently competitive, and I think this is probably the first time that I've said that about Bowman this season.
Now, one driver I'm just kind of quietly watching is this guy right here, Kyle Busch. So he is kind of like Bowman. He's been working his way forwards after some issues, but Kyle Busch has been consistently moving forwards. He was down in the 30s earlier as well, and now he's in P11, only one spot out of the top 10. So another guy that really needs a good day, just like the guy in front of him that he's trying to beat for 10th place, as they got two lap cars battling it out side by side in front of them here as William Byron currently runs there just outside of the top 10 as well. Or actually, Byron's a lap down. Actually, I see the right side damage has been fixed on that car. So it looks like they actually gave up, yes, one lap to fix that car there, Jay. Honestly, they might have just been better off riding it out to the end of the stage.
With as many cars, there's a lap down right now. I don't think it's that big of a deal that he fixed his damage, because cars are going to keep getting lapped towards the end of this race, and if he can stay only one lap down, then it's highly possible that he winds up getting a decent finishing position anyways. So far, this race has gone green, and if it stays that way, with how fast Kyle Larson is, we might see close to the entire, or not the entire top 10, all the way up to the top 10, get a lap down. So if he's able to stay one of those first cars a lap down, then boom, there you go. He's got himself a top 15 after getting some damage earlier in this race. So I don't think it was a bad thing to fix it. Probably could have done it under caution, but I think his team probably saw that his performance was lacking, and he probably might have wound up a lap down or a couple of laps down either way if they didn't fix it. So I assume there was some reasoning there why they did that.
You know what's really surprising to me is we went through that whole ordeal and we come back and Larson's just now passing Anthony Alfredo, and when we cut away he was right on the back of Anthony Alfredo. And look at this, Denny Hamlin has really closed that gap to him, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time. But now what do you do, Jay? Alex Bowman, your Hendrick Motorsports teammate right now, is the next car you're coming up on, and you're coming to 5 to go on the stage. You see Denny Hamlin coming up behind us. Actually, all the cautions out. So that's going to be a savior for Alex Bowman right now, as the 8 car has a bunch of damage. And as I was mentioning, that does no longer matter because I see some damage right there on the 51. The 78, the 8 has some major damage. Reddick was having a good day. But wow, I mean, Jay, right there, a race-saving potentially moment for Alex Bowman, as he does get passed by the 5, but I do believe he does remain on the lead lap.
Yeah, I don't know. They passed the line by the time the Bowman was passed, so I think he's still okay. Let's see if he's going on to pit. Okay, he is going on to pit road right here, so I think he's going to be all right. Uh, Hopefully he won't wind up a lap down, but yeah. In any case, if he is still on the lead lap, that is definitely a race-saving caution right there. Is that damage on the roof
That's
of
roof
Austin Dillon's car?
damage. And look at the 20 car. The 20 car's got roof damage as well. I think we've had a major accident here. We're going to get a look at it here momentarily. We're going to get this pit cycle through, but the 20 car and the 3 both have roof damage. So I think we've had quite the significant accident here, actually, in Dover now. But Kyle Larson already putting the right sides on. I mean, he's going to have a stellar pit stop right here, I think, compared to Denny Hamlin. He's already got the left sides going. Just he's got to make sure he doesn't come out as someone's coming in.
Like that.
Yeah. Oh, Chase Elliott. Oh, this is going to be huge for Kyle Larson. We've talked about issues, and he is not even going yet. There he goes now. He's got damage on there. Oh, my goodness. Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin wins the race off of the pit lane, but Kyle Larson is stuck waiting. He is forced to wait for Kurt Busch to go anywhere, and Kurt Busch...
Ryan Blaney's got a ton of right side damage.
Wow. Kurt Busch is not going anywhere. Oh, there goes Kyle Larson now. Is this the end of his race all of a sudden? I don't know. He's not moving. I think that there might be an issue where I'm very surprised, by the way, only 15 cars on the lead lap apparently. But all of a sudden, I think that maybe either Kyle Larson just DNF'd because of that, or he is maybe just going to be held. But either way, he's going a lap down right here. Wow.
That's just like we've mentioned, when he has a dominant car, something always goes wrong, and that is the definition of I don't want to say outside of his control, because I mean actually it technically was, but that was more so on his crew chief's fault for letting him go out right when Chase Elliott was coming in, and then Chase Elliott just not giving any crap and dragging him along with him.
Once again, what a change of events. Kyle Larson, the dominant car for another race this season, and it all goes wrong. But more importantly, we just had a big incident. We're going to get a look at that right now after a great day for Kyle Larson. He is going to, I'm not sure if he's going to be credited actually with the stage one win or not, because I think, or stage two win, sorry, because I think actually we might be in store for a one lap dash. So that's going to hurt even more for the five of Kyle Larson now in terms of points. But of course, he's already got a win. He's locked in. But let's get a look at that incident here towards the end of stage two. Reason for the caution, the 78 of BJ McLeod. Jay, what in the world just happened right there?
I am assuming it was something with, like we mentioned earlier, with the pit road thing where the driver thinks they're heading towards pit road, but they're not. But that was also a super late decision, so I have no idea. And even if that is the case, I don't know why his car, it almost seemed like there was a ghost car there and he just got dumped. I don't know. Suddenly BJ McLeod's car was possessed by demons, and all of a sudden he goes spinning and just turning everywhere, and Cody Ware and Tyler Reddick had nowhere to go.
So that was the reason for the caution. But then under caution, it gets even more weird as you're going to see the 3 and the 20 actually go right here inside of each other. There it is, and watch this. Boom, right there. That's how they got the roof damage. They did not flip over. They just decided to just go inside each other, and thank goodness the 17 and the 96 had just enough time to get around that. They go to the pit lane. Caution's out. Very awkward moment, and we're going to as well get a quick look in replay at that Kyle Larson moment here, which has taken them out of contention to win here today at Dover. So here you see Kyle Larson putting the left sides on. He comes out right here. I was literally mentioning it live that he did not need this to happen. And right here gets put into the inside wall. And I mean, Jay, I was expecting him to maybe even be able to drive through these cars. But then right here, he just comes to a stop and can't do anything.
Yeah, if he had just went to the inside and stayed straight, he would have been able to get through Kurt Busch, and then honestly probably could have just quickly got out through Truex's box before Martin Truex pulled in. But for some reason, he put himself in an angle and drove right into the back of Kurt Busch, and that's potentially put an end to his day.
So back to the live scene. It is indeed going to be a one lap dash to decide stage two. And the leader is Denny Hamlin, but look at him all the way back here. Jay, with this situation of a one lap dash, all of these cars in front of him, this is perfect.
This is going to certainly create some chaos, and I think there's even a couple of cars, unless Corey LaJoie is truly in second place, which I don't think he is. There's even a car in between him and Joey Logano as well. So this restart, I think, is going to be chaos. And I think the best thing for Alex Bowman is that he has to hope and do everything he can to stay in front of Denny Hamlin here. Because if he does, I think he'll be able to get to restart at the rear of the lead lap
There's
lineup.
Larson. Kyle Larson's back on track right there in the background, but the problem for him is he scored one lap down. So Larson remains in the race, but one lap down and going to need something crazy to happen to get him back in it. It's never say never for Kyle Larson, but now the green flag is back on. The one lap dash is underway. Denny Hamlin trying to hold off Joey Logano, but as well wanting to pass as many cars as he can right here. And whatever happens right here, doesn't matter too much for Hamlin because we're about to have another restart in a couple laps time, but of course he would like to get another playoff point as all those cars get going here. I mean, heck, Bubba Wallace actually to the inside line right here into turns 3, and he might, as they come through turns 3 and 4, as I got to get that command in right away, as I think we got it just in time as they exit the corner. Caution is out. Denny Hamlin actually wins stage 2. Bubba Wallace is going to get credited for second place. Logano P3, Kozlowski up there as well, as there is cars all over the track. Now, Jay, would you pit maybe right here as well again to make sure you're okay, or are they going to stay out right here?
You'll probably see some guys like the people who just got their lap back, so like Kurt Busch.
He's good.
Maybe everybody pitting, never mind.
So we have more potential right here. Oh, we got some guys. Oh, those are some lap cars. Harvick's staying out. Harvick will stay out right here. We've seen him do a move like this. I see some smoke somewhere. I thought I just saw from a car. Oh, we got a pile up here. We'll touch on that in a minute. We know exactly what just caused that. Thank goodness it's not really some big drivers. Ryan Newman is there, but oh man, some heavy contact there as Denny Hamlin wins stage 2. So now the 78, he just decided to swerve. He was upset with the wall or something.
I believe
Uh,
the 8 has even more damage than he did before.
he
He
just
just
DNF'd.
DNF'd. He had a
Yeah.
lot of front end damage there in his pit box. Something else happened to Tyler Reddick.
Oh boy,
Oh no.
they're good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you can tell why they have that setting of the cars being able to go into each other because it's definitely an issue with the contact here. But it still caused Hamlin. Actually, he's only going to take fuel. Oh boy. Oh, this is getting close. Kyle Larson, by the way, should be coming in next time by. He's not on the pit lane right now, but Blaney with quite a bit of damage on the right side of that car. I actually did see that damage on him coming to the green, so that was from a different moment. As the 53 of JJ Yaley, we're going to let him get himself figured out. And we are now going to get a very quick look at that little weird thing that we've been talking about with the pit lane now, as there was 3 cars taken out right there, so we might as well show you guys what happened there. Tyler Reddick, I'm not going to say anything. You see it right there. He just drove through the water barrels head on into the wall, and that was the end of his race. So then we had these guys here as well going into the pit wall situation. Not really important there after what just happened with Tyler Reddick, but that's pretty much what happened there under caution. Now looking at the live scene, getting ready to go green this time by here for the start of the third and final stage. Kyle Larson, who's back in the race, well, he has a chance to get his lap back here if he gets really lucky. So it's not the end of the day. Still just under 100 laps to go. Anthony Alfredo's leaving all the space in the world. He's going to, I don't know what he's about to try, but Denny Hamlin is down in 4th place. It's Kevin Harvick, James Davison for Rick Ware Racing in 2nd place, Bubba Wallace, and then his boss man, Denny Hamlin, right behind him there in that 4th position. So everything's kind of gotten really, really mixed up here in the last handful of laps. Jay going into stage 3. What in the world can we expect out of this one?
I think we can expect more wild things to keep happening. We've seen some wild stuff happen with the way the track is designed, and I think that's going to wind up keep striking. And we're probably going to see more things happen like the Kyle Larson incident, but probably to more leaders as well. And I don't think we're done on crashes either.
And there is Kyle Larson on that inside line. He would love to be back on the lead lap. He's got some damage that still needs to be repaired from the looks of it, but there still might be some competitive speed in that 5 car. But like we said, needs to find a way to get back on that lead lap. A quick caution right here could at least help him. Now as Kevin Harvick is setting sail down this back straightaway. So there you got William Byron on the inside. Things haven't quite gone his way today so far, as he's under some pressure from the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But James Davison for Rick Ware Racing, I have absolutely no idea how this happened, how he's up here in 2nd place all of a sudden. But I mean, that car is actually pretty clean right now, and so far he's not losing a ton of time to Kevin Harvick now as they come through out of turns too. But Jay, Kevin Harvick leading, I don't know how that happened either, to be honest with you. He did stay out, actually. That's how that happened. But last week was probably the first time we've even seen him back in the mix up front, where he almost won in Darlington. Made a very late pass on Ryan Blaney, but Blaney was able to get him back on the final lap. But Dover, we've seen Harvick run strong here before, so I mean, I guess we can't count him out. He might have the speed to win today.
Yeah, he's finally looked good the last couple of weeks. He was running pretty well today as well. He wasn't he wasn't up towards the front or up towards the couple. Let me restart that. He wasn't the first couple of cars. He wasn't up towards the lead, but he was still running top 5, top 10 all day long. So put himself in a good position to where he could stay out and not even really be that much of a disadvantage on tires. He only had a lap or so on his tires compared to these other guys. So, and actually, I don't even think the ones who pitted took tires anyways. So he's going to be fine here. And if he truly does have good speed in his car, he should be able to keep the lead.
And there you see Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin. They get past James Davison. Kyle Busch is apparently, Kyle Busch is currently running in 5th place. So a nice rebounding week for him so far, as Eric Almirola is down to 7th place as Keselowski moves up to P6 right there. So Keselowski trying to get some track position as well here, as things are looking very weird all of a sudden here from Dover. Kyle Larson trying to hold off Kevin Harvick. Larson, clearly you can see some damage on his car, so he knows it's not going to be up to speed, but he's right behind the car that he got stuck on in the pit lane at the towards the end of stage 2, and that is Kurt Busch. But now Hamlin making a move to the inside. I mean, Jay, now that Hamlin doesn't have to deal with Kyle Larson. I think he does have more speed than the 23 and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. So, I mean, if it stays green, I mean, this might play right into Denny's hands, and he might be able to pick up his second win here today.
Thing is, though, is he was faster than Truex as well, I believe, in stage one, and he was never able to get around him until the last couple of laps. So the same thing could be happening here, to where he's just not being able to pass that much. And if that's the case, I think there is at least decent enough pace from both the 23 and the 4 to where Hamlin is not like overly more or overly better than them. So I have a feeling that Harvick and Wallace will be able to stay in front of him.
And out of turns 4, there you see Harvick continuing to hold off that 23. Down here, you see Bowman side by side with the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Keselowski there. And then you got the 12 of Ryan Blaney trying to work on passing Alfredo Elliott back inside the top 10. Chase Briscoe, I mean, a rookie this season that got off to a really rough start. Jay, we've been seeing him starting to have quite a few improvements with some better runs lately here in our season. Quite a ways out of the playoffs right now, over a whole race out. So I would say, I would guess his chances of making it right now aren't very good. And if he keeps running the way he is, I mean, obviously he's not going to make it into the playoffs. But nonetheless, that team has definitely been improving as of late.
Yeah, I think he's finally found his stride with the Cup car. He's looked better. I think he's overachieving compared to where he was earlier in the season, and I agree with you as well. I think points-wise, he's pretty much out of the playoffs. I think the only way he gets in now is if he wins, and I don't think there's a very high chance of that happening either. But still, so far, a very good rookie season for him, and I think he's only going to get better from here.
And there he is side by side with that number 7 of Corey LaJoie. Martin Truex Jr. kind of pushed down the field a little bit now. As you see the rest of the field, the 51 quite a bit off the pace right now. Bubba Wallace really has settled into second. Hamlin hasn't had a whole lot for him in that 2311 DoorDash Toyota Camry there. So Truex definitely got a lot of work to do there in that 19 car, because we've been talking about the playoff situation. He is not in a good position at all. We thought today that it might be his opportunity. He started up front, led the majority of stage 1, faded late, and then stage 2 didn't go well at all, and now he is in P12. But, I mean, at the same time, Jay, we look at who is Truex or Kyle Busch or Brad Keselowski trying to beat right now. And we got drivers like the 99 of Daniel Suarez, who DNF from this race already, down to 40th place. We got the 20 of Christopher Bell as well, who is out of this race. Tyler Reddick, a playoff driver, out after crashing into the water barrels there in P31. So, I mean, there is some big drivers. William Byron in mid-20s right now, another driver in the playoffs. So there is some playoff drivers and guys that are right at the bottom of that grid that have had horrendous days compared to what Truex and Kyle Busch have had. And honestly, if Truex, Kyle Busch, Keselowski keep having the day they're having, they're going to be right in that playoff fight after today.
I think the one person that I keep looking at who needs to take advantage of all this happening, and he hasn't been able to so far, is Alex Bowman. He was running great at the start of this race. He was inside the top 10, and then the 37 slowed him down to where he fell back to about 18th or so, and then wound up almost losing that lap towards the end of stage 2. And then ever since then, he's just been kind of caught out with the caution that happened right there. He restarted right in front of the leaders, finished the stage in front of the leaders, was not a lap down, but somehow wound up a lap down. I'm not sure how that happened. That doesn't make much sense to me, but he wound up finishing a lap down, or wound up going a lap down. And unfortunately for Bowman, that's going to wind up hurting him a lot. He's not going to be able to make up the points that he should be able to make up. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to take advantage of that good car that he's got today.
And there you see that 48 right now, right behind that 23. I mean, like you said, there's definitely some speed in that 48 car here today, but just not able to capitalize on it now as he is looking to try and maybe mix it up with Bubba Wallace. But Hamlin has gotten past Bubba Wallace now. The 21 of Mattia Benedetto has gotten past Bubba Wallace. That is not for position, but it at least puts a buffer between Hamlin and Bubba. And now Hamlin's putting some pressure on the 2014 Cup Series champion of Kevin Harvick. Here's a go down this back straightaway. Still a lot of time to go, just below 80 laps in this race, and we've been definitely proven that anything can happen here at Dover now, as pit stops will be coming in a little bit, but now Hamlin trying to make a move to the inside, potentially right here on Kevin Harvick as they go down into turns 1 and 2. He is there at his quarter panel. Can he make the move right here out of turns 2? Hamlin is sure enough to the inside there as they go down towards turn 3, but does he have enough to actually get past? I think he will, because now, as they come through out of turns 4, actually, he's going to breeze right on by Kevin Harvick in that Ford car, and to the lead goes Denny Hamlin in that FedEx Toyota Camry. With that being said, things have calmed down once again here in Dover. We're going to go for a quick break here in Stage 3, come back, and bring it to the pit stop cycle here under hopefully green flag conditions. Welcome back from Dover. Denny Hamlin continuing to lead the way over second place of Kevin Harvick. Still less than a second between the two of them. Bubba Wallace actually just got passed by the 48 of Alex Bowman. Not for position, but that puts another car in between him and the leaders now as he continues to run P3. Nearly 2 seconds behind right now as Hamlin's gap not really growing very fast. It is still going up, and that's a good thing for him as pit stops will be getting underway here very, very shortly. Jay, we've seen what's happened on the pit lane here today. Took Kyle Larson's chances at victory away as he still has some damage on his car as well. Actually, we're not going to bother with Kyle Larson right now and talk about his sob story for the day because we got these guys coming into the pit lane here as Kurt Busch and DiBenedetto come in. So what do you do here after seeing what's happened on the pit lane? Do you come in very early to make sure you're kind of in clear traffic, or are you going to be like Denny Hamlin and potentially wait till everybody comes in?
I think you have to try and go in early, especially if you're one of the leaders. Try and get into pit road without anyone around you, because we've seen what can happen so far today. So if everybody up front pits there together, I think most of them have their pit boxes relatively close to each other, so that could be an issue. So I think it's in Denny Hamlin's best interest and a few of these other guys' best interest to pit as soon as possible.
Hamlin's going to continue to stay out, along with a lot of these guys here. So that's a bit surprising. So up ahead, Kurt Busch, he is now just coming out of his pit box here as they come through out of turns 2. So Hamlin, he was able to get by him. And now I'm sure Hamlin's got to be coming in momentarily. Kurt Busch comes out into a very clear track. So good call there with the one-car team, as I don't think that matters, actually. Kurt Busch is a lap down, but we wanted to focus in on him anyways because this could be his last year, and that's why we were highlighting that. As Kevin Harvick, though, that is going to be the one to watch. He comes out of his pit box kind of clean. We've seen how they kind of come up the track, so we got to keep an eye on that. Make sure he's coming out in front of nobody. Sure enough, Harvick is going to be in good shape as well. So when's Denny Hamlin coming in? Not this time by either. So very, very interesting right there. And Jay, the further Denny Hamlin goes, we look at the current pit situation. If he can make it to lap 190, there's a realistic possibility he can make it to the end of this race on one stop.
Yeah, if he's able to do it, if he's able to go 50 laps on this run, then he'll be right at 50 as well if he can make it to 190 there.
Oh,
so as there is a caution on the track.
Boy. I don't think it's for Rick Ware, or Cody Ware, but it very well could be because that's the only car I've seen slow. Oh, we got trouble because Keselowski is around, and somehow Cody Ware has caused more chaos under caution, and we got cars piling in.
I don't know if it was just slowing down, but Kevin Harvick has a lot of rear end damage as well. I don't know. When you cut away, I saw him come back up the track, and it looked like he came up the track in front of Truex. I don't know if that's where that damage came from, or if it was on slowing down. My guess is probably slowing down.
So we will get a look at that in a second. Here's the pit stop. Denny Hamlin leading the way, but wow. That just messed over a lot of people's race once again. So a terrible, terrible time for a caution. Jay mentioned the damage on Harvick. You can see him coming by right here. And yeah, sure enough, he's got quite a bit of damage there on that back bumper. Now, if they stay out, they of course are on the lead lap, but I'm not sure how everything's about to go down here. But I mean, another competitor of Denny Hamlin's just got messed over, so I mean his chances of winning just can increase even greater. But now we got to make sure he has a clean pit stop. Fortunately for him, he has the first pit stall, so the odds of something going wrong here are extremely low. Bubba Wallace is that car to watch in terms of who's going to come out first, but it's going to be Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace. Everyone's actually getting out pretty clean except for right there as Chris Buescher and William Byron come together. William Byron has been hitting pretty much everything today, but look at the damage on Cody Ware's car. We're going to get a quick look right now at what in the world just brought out the second incident-causing caution of the day here from Dover. Rick Ware's James Davison dumps Rick Ware's Cody Ware out of turns where it did look like Cody was coming down. Overall, an awkward situation. He goes around during the pit cycle. Caution comes out, and then this rest of the field comes piling in behind them. And Jay, what happens from this point on?
Well, Cody Ware just kind of pulls back up in front of Alex Bowman, and Bowman has nowhere to go. Then Ware slams into the wall, comes back right down into Eric Almirola, Keselowski, and everybody behind just comes piling in. DeBenedetto slams into Kevin Harvick. Harvick hits Brad Keselowski. Timmy Hill might got a little bit of damage there from the 14, the 6, and the 47. But everybody just kind of came slamming in there at the end. Nobody could really slow down. It's pretty hard to slow down here at Dover. So even more cars coming in. Looks like all of those might have escaped damage as the 15 and the 96 are inside each other. But yeah, Cody Ware just kind of came down in front of Bowman and it caused an accordion effect.
Now to the live scene again. So, Hamlin, it did appear that he was trying to stretch out that field run, and that actually, I guess, kind of helped him in a way. But the situation now is they've pitted with about 53 laps remaining in this race. So, they should be very, very close, but I do not think Hamlin's going to make it, but I mean, he almost stretched it 50 laps there. But 53, Jay, I mean, they do have some caution laps right here. So, I mean, if another caution comes out, then they can pit if it's within, like, after maybe 5, 6, 7 laps or so. But if it stays green to the end here, as Kyle Busch just blew up out of turns 2, his race, his race comes to an end. Good day white for Kyle Busch. Say goodbye to his playoff chances right there for the moment. As I was mentioning, though, Hamlin, like, is there a chance, Jay, that maybe he could make it to the end?
It certainly seemed like he was already going to be able to potentially stretch it to 50 laps. So if that was the case, then this caution here is really going to help those efforts. And I think he will be able to make it to the end from here. I don't know if it's going to be only him that can make it or if everybody else can make it. But it certainly seemed like he was able to stretch it out that long. Obviously, there was still, I think, 3 laps left to get to 50. So highly possible he was planning to pit that time. But if he was able to make it to 50 on that caution or on that run without any cautions, I think he'll be able to certainly do it this time around with a caution.
Very unfortunate for Kyle Busch, the two-time Cup Series champion now from 2015 and 2019. So he was having a good day. He wasn't really up there in the stage points, but he was having a solid day, just barely outside of the top 10. But P11, he was running quite a bit. And well, his day is going to come to an end here as we will be going green this time by, and it will be 50 laps to go when they take the green flag right here. And Bubba Wallace currently still running up there in second place. Eric Almirola there in that third position. Chase Elliott's up in fourth. Ryan Blaney fifth. Rounding out the top 10 was going to be the 18 of Kyle Busch. No longer the situation. So Kevin Harvick's trapped a lap down along with drivers like Brad Keselowski. So Jay, obviously, Harvick had, I guess, that team had the right idea. Maybe pit early. They clearly didn't have the speed to beat Hamlin straight up, so they had to try something. And unfortunately, on a day like today, that strategy call came back to bite them before we got to the end of that pit cycle.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move to try. I mean, you might as well. You clearly don't have the speed to get by him without some kind of strategy advantage. So I think it was the right call for that team to try. Just unfortunate that the caution didn't fall at the good time. And even so, honestly, though, if Hamlin truly was able to split it 50 and 50, then that pit call probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. It's just unfortunate that now, no matter what, he is stuck a lap down.
There you see Cody Ware, who remains in the race after that big incident. He is trying to stay out of the way now as Alex Bowman quite a bit off the pace as well here, as the 43 of Eric Jones out in front of this little pack right now is Denny Hamlin with the lead trying to get away, as Elliott actually has gotten past Eric Almirola. So Chase Elliott slowly creeping his way into the picture now as he's up into that third position, rounding out the top 5, Joey Logano. We were talking about earlier how without Joey Logano's win in a photo finish over his teammate Ryan Blaney at Phoenix earlier this year, without that win, he would not even be in the playoffs right now. He was about 14 points below that actual point cut line. So with a day like today, though, he's been running in the stage points. Jay overall been having a really good day now, as we haven't really seen that 22 run great this season.
He's he's kind of been mediocre compared to his teammates. Although Kozlowski is also outside the playoffs right now, looking in. So Penske, although they haven't gotten the results that they wanted. I mean, Logano's gotten that win, so he's in. Blaney, of course, has looked strong all season long, and he's gotten his win now as well. So Kozlowski is the only one without a win on that team, and I think his win will come at some point. He's looked pretty strong this season. He just hasn't gotten the results that he deserves. And kind of the same thing again today. He's not going to get the finish that he looked like he deserved. He was running very well to start this race, running inside the top five, running inside the top three for pretty much that entire first stage. So unfortunately, he's going to wind up not getting a great finish again here today. But with other guys around that playoff bubble having issues as well, I don't think Keselowski is going to be in too bad of a spot.
Look who's capitalizing though on that incident and then the caution and whatnot is Martin Truex Jr. actually making a pass on Joey Logano to move up into P5. And another guy we've talked about that's always just able to find a way to stay out of the trouble and get a solid finish out of it is that 17 of Chris Buescher. He hasn't been in the top 10 all day, but now here we are in the closing segments of this race, and here he is running in the 9th position. And I did not realize, but you see Denny Hamlin up here leading the way, but actually he just got past. The 43 was in front of Hamlin last time we looked, but he is actually 10th place. So now there's only 9 cars left on the lead lap here in Dover. Is that 48 car of Alex Bowman, by the way, way off the pace there. I mean, you compare his car to Cody Ware's, you'd think he'd be blowing the doors off of that Rick Ware Racing Chevrolet Camaro, but not the case right now, as those are the first cars that Denny Hamlin is going to have to deal with here at some point soon. But it's just going to be very interesting to see if Denny Hamlin, or anyone for that matter, is able to stretch it to the end of this race, but still coming to 41 laps to go, quite a bit of time and quite a bit of racing to go now. Is Bubba Wallace actually back up into second place? Chase Elliott in P3. Jay, we know Elliott strong at this racetrack as well in real life. We've seen him win here before, so we know he has speed, and here he is now in the final, or in the late stages of this race, now getting up into the mix there in P3.
He's looked pretty decent all day as well. He's been running top 5. Certainly running top 10 all day long. So I think this is the first time he's just been consistently kind of there, in at least in a while this season, if not for one of the first times of the season in general. He's just kind of had a struggle all year long, and he hasn't really had the race where he's either been in contention or finished in the top 10 and been in the top 10 all day long. So it looks like as long as he's able to avoid any more issues for the rest of the day, this is going to be one of the first races of the year where he's going to just have a decent day finally, and maybe that'll start to build some momentum up for that team.
Elliott, of course, is inside of the playoffs, but just obviously hasn't been having the exact season that we expect from a defending champion right now in that Napa 9 car. As right now, I mean, he is coming into this race 62 points above the cut line, so he has a whole race above that cut line, so he's definitely comfortable right now. And we mentioned now that we've kind of calmed down, we're going to get a look through the order a little bit. Fast lap actually now belongs to Denny Hamlin by about like 3/1000ths of a second or so over Eric Almirola. But Kyle Busch came into this race not in a great spot, of course, in the playoff situation, but he was 30 points below the cut line, was having a decent run. He was on pace for probably a top 10, especially after that caution came out, and now he's going to have to settle for the 30th place finish. So, a big hit right there, and Jay, that's 10th or so to 30th. That's 20 points right there that 18 team just gave up, and the guy in last place, Daniel Suarez, I mean, Kyle Busch, if he would have finished 10th, could have been within 10 points or so, potentially, if everything kind of went well, within striking distance of making it into that playoff grid. But now here he is, down in 30th place out of the race.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys who were salivating seeing Daniel Suarez DNF in those early laps and finish last place. They knew that they had the opportunity to finally get a really good gain on some guys in the playoffs. And unfortunately for a few of them, like Christopher Bell and Kyle Busch, to name a few, it has not gone well. They wound up finishing down there in the 30s as well, so they're not going to be able to get the points they thought they could gain. I believe Kyle Busch got a few stage points at the least, so he's going to have a couple of those points, I believe. But he's certainly not going to get the finishing result that he wanted, and he's not going to get the points gain that he wanted to get either.
So Kyle Busch, like we said, having a really rough finish out of this one. Tyler Reddick out of the race. He came into this race 59 points above the cut line, so he can take a bit of a hit. It's not going to be a huge deal. It's not going to be ending incident that's going to completely destroy his playoff hopes. But right now, he's definitely going to need to bounce back when we go to Circuit of the Americas next week. Now, as we know, that's going to be probably a crazy race in itself. Matt DiBenedetto, he came into this race 25 points above the cut line. He had some pit issues. He's down in 26th place, but with, of course, Kyle Busch having issues, and now even Brad Keselowski, that's going to help him out quite a bit. Suarez, of course, we've already touched upon. William Byron is another guy that's had a really, really rough day, but surprisingly, he still runs actually inside of the top 15 now as we look towards that top 10 on the order. So, some playoff drivers with some rough days, some guys that are right below the cut line that are trying to get in with some rough days as well now as Chase Elliott continues there in that third position. But Jay, I mean, looking at next week, Circuit of the Americas, brand new track to the schedule, a track we've never seen NASCAR competition or a NASCAR sanctioned race on. I mean, I've heard some crazy things about the AI there. I think that has the potential maybe to be our craziest race of the season. I mean, if we have another wild card winner, that really changes everything for the playoff grid.
I surely have no idea what to expect going into that race. It it could truly be a wild race. It could be a calm race. I genuinely have no idea. But you would think that Chase Elliott and Martin Truex are your favorites going into that race just because of how good they are in road courses. But I don't think that's the case just because, again, it's a brand new track. It's a track built for F1. These cup cars are not designed to handle tricky road courses and stuff. And there's a corner where you have to slow down from top speed down to about 30 or so. There's the S's in sector one. So I think that track is going to be really tricky for these guys. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to see a guy dominated. I think we're going to see probably a lot of lead changes. I think we're probably going to see a lot of wrecks. And honestly, I think that it's going to wind up coming down to whoever gets the luckiest or whoever has the cleanest car and is able to escape all the wrecks and chaos.
I mean, yeah, you look at that track, and I mean, there's really nothing about Circuit of the Americas that is designed to suit a current Gen 6 NASCAR stock car. So it's going to be interesting not only in NR2003, but of course real life as well. Now, the next gen car might be way more suited to handle a track like Circuit of the Americas, but at the end of the day, it's more of a track designed for cars like Formula One with the high downforce and whatnot. And they can just haul around the S's in these sharp corners and these really tight 90-degree turns as well. So it's going to be interesting with these stock cars there next week now, as we'll try to find the best version possible to get the best racing product possible, because we don't want them to be crashing every single lap. That would just not even be fun. But now focusing on what's happening on track, we only have 26 laps to go. We're running out of time. Can these guys make it to the end of the race? That's one of the big questions right now. I personally think they will not. Denny Hamlin, wouldn't be surprised if he tries, but Bubba Wallace right now running second place here. One of those drivers, Jay, that has, sure enough, had a great day. We've talked about guys towards the bottom of the cut line and just outside of the cut line having horrendous days. And here's a guy towards the bottom of the cut line, only 34 points above, and he's having a great day. Got stage points, and now in the closing laps of this race, running runner-up to his boss of Denny Hamlin.
He's looked great all day long. He really has. I did not expect this out of this team already. They've ran decent all season long. And this is really the first time we've seen very competitive speed out of them. And I thought that once we saw him get inside the top five, I thought he might have just gotten there due to strategy or a timely caution or something. And even if that happened, he's shown that he has the speed to stay in the top five. He's been in second for the last, I don't know how long, for a good while. I know that much. So he's looked really competitive. And if he can get around Kurt Busch here, I think that he'll be able to stay in second place. If not, he might be being held up by Kurt here. And Chase Elliott and Logano are going to try to take advantage of that.
Definitely got to see if Bubba can get past that one car of Kurt Busch here. Now is Logano. He's going to make a move up the inside here of Chase Elliott, so put the pressure on there. Logano tries to move up into third place as they're in the background. You see Kyle Larson still kind of in the mix, of course, a lap down, trying to pass Eric Jones. And actually, Kyle Larson is 2 laps down, sorry, so he's down in 15th place. I was going to say he actually might have a chance for a top 10, but no, he does not. Now, as they're still side by side right here between the 9 and the 22, Almirola rounding out that top 5. Blaney, Truex, Chase Briscoe, the rookie in P8, and then we got the number 17 of Busher and Eric Jones rounding out your top 10 now. So the final 20 laps almost about to get underway here. Denny Hamlin, Jay, I mean, we've seen the speed in this car. and he's got pit stall number one. So if everyone has to pit, I don't know what in the world could maybe end his race. Maybe if he comes in early, we see another caution. That's probably the only likely scenario that puts an end to Denny Hamlin's dominance here today.
If they think they have to pit, then I would. There's really no risk of pitting too early and running out of fuel because at this point they no matter what can make it to the end. So if they feel that they cannot make it to the end, then I would say they would have to pit, quote unquote, early compared to everybody else. In my opinion, I think that's still the better thing to do. Uh, but even so, you run the risk of if you pit and other people do not, you run the risk of a caution coming out and you get yourself caught a lap down, or even if you're still in the lead lap, you're going to wind up being in 10th or well, in this case, I guess the worst he could do is ninth. So he would still be in a bad track position compared to any guys who stay out. So I really don't know what the strategy is going to be at this point. I just know that you want to have a clean time on pit road if you have to pit.
Logano was taking a bit of a look there to the inside of the 23, kind of just poked his nose up the inside. Didn't make anything happen with it there as Bubba continues to hold on to P2. But if he wants to have any chance of winning this race for the first time in his Cup Series career, he needs to get a move on it here and get past that one car of Kurt Busch as quickly as possible. But Logano is trying to ruin that here and make a pass on him and move himself into that runner-up position. But once again, doesn't quite look like he's going to be able to pull that off as they come through at turn two. Kurt Busch just, I guess, has just enough speed in that car to maintain where he's at, but Logano's increasingly putting pressure on that 23 car. Does he have enough? There he is alongside now out of turns four, and that is going to put that spot in jeopardy for Bubba, and as well, Elliott is right there ready to pounce and follow that 22 of Joey Logano. So Bubba could fall down to potentially fourth, even fifth place with Almirola coming into the mix as well here as they go down into turn three. Just over 25 laps to go, and there goes that 22 of Logano. I mean, Jay, what do you do? I mean, Kurt Busch, I mean, should he just kind of be a little more generous, get out of the way here? Is he really doing nothing wrong?
No, I would say he should be more generous and get out of the way. He's certainly looks like to me he's definitely holding that 23 up. But even if he's not holding the 23 up, he's definitely going to be holding the 22 and the 9. He's definitely going to be holding those two up. So I think he needs to move out of the way. There's nothing he's really fighting for at this point. He needs to just move and let these guys around and let the race play out and him just not be a roadblock kind of like he's being right now.
Kurt Busch already with a win this season at Richmond Raceway, where we saw Tyler Reddick actually was in position to win that race, and then things went wrong for him. We've had a history this season of just stuff going wrong for the leaders of these races, especially in Stage 3. Now, as we saw it just last week with Kyle Larson, well, we saw it this week again with Kyle Larson. We've seen it with Kyle Larson pretty much every single race. But I mean, Kyle Larson at Martinsville actually as well when he got held up by a lap car. But Joey Logano to the inside here of Kurt Busch, so he's going to be the one to make that move. Bubba actually also got passed by the 10 of Almirola, so he's down to P5, even with fifth place. Oh, we got problems here. Kurt Busch is going like a madman, and well, he got out of the way. Jay was very generous right there.
Yeah, he got out of the way in a interesting way, but at the very least he's out of the way. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too late for the 23, who's now been passed by several cars and getting passed by even more. But at this point, I'm kind of starting to wonder if that 23 is really, if he was benefiting from track position, and now that he's lost that track position, I wonder if he really truly is off the pace and just getting blown away by these guys right now.
We got guys pitting a lot earlier than I anticipated. We're coming up on. Oh, sorry, I was thinking we were going to lap 250. No, there's only just over 10 laps to go. My apologies on that. As that is not the first time today we've seen a Rick Ware car in a dangerous position. But thank goodness that didn't turn into anything. But look who is charging. That is Joey Logano now as he comes through out of turns two. In the background, there's Almirola, Elliott, Truex, Blaney, then Bubba Wallace now as the 51 of Cody Ware is going to come into the pit lane. Right now, there comes the 5 of Kyle Larson now. His race, unfortunately, came to an end in terms of going for a win. But now, Jay, what do you think is going to happen here? Is Hamlin going to try and make it to the end? And if he doesn't, I mean, if you're Joey Logano, do you pit now and get that advantage? I mean, I think that he's got the pace to maybe run down that 11. But, of course, short pitting, you're only going to have to do a few laps. But no, Hamlin's going to come in first. So now what does Logano do?
I think before Hamlin had pitted here, I was gonna say, I think you force Hamlin's hand and you pit right now, and then make that 11 car team or 11 car pit, and then he gets that one lap of fresher tires, and maybe that's enough of an advantage for him. But didn't even get the chance to say that because Denny Hamlin decided he was just going to go ahead and pit anyway. So strategy's out the window now. Now it all comes down to pit road and having as clean a time on pit road as you can, having a good pit stop, and then getting yourself back out on track in front of the guy you were in front of before.
What happened to Hamlin is he's just getting into his box right now. I don't know if that's if it just took him that long to get there, if that's normal. But he's already gone a whole lap down. I guess it does take what 20 seconds to get around here. But here comes the 22 now into the pit lane. So actually, yeah, no, I think that's perfectly normal here. As Hamlin is going to be coming out, he should be already exiting his box. Yes, he is. So we're gonna see. There he is, right there, out of turns two. That's the one to watch. Logano did two extra laps right there. Then the 11 of Denny Hamlin. It'll be 6 laps to go when they get back to the line. There comes the 48 of Alex Bowman. Hamlin, of course, needing it to stay green here momentarily as they come through out of the corner. And Hamlin will unlap himself right now as they come through across the line. So this time by, we're going to see what happens here with this pit cycle. I did see Logano. He had some traffic. We're going to look at where he's at on the pit lane right now. He's towards the front. He's got that advantage. But here comes Eric Almirola. And Almirola is on the lead lap. Logano just took right side tires. So he's going to get out in first, at least out of the pit lane. But where is Denny Hamlin? Here's Hamlin right now. He's quite a ways back, Jay.
I think he did have something slow him down on pit road. Either that, or he made the mistake of taking 4 tires when Logano took 2. Never mind, I am very wrong. He just blew past Logano.
But Logano has those fresh tires. And Logano is not far back at all. So now, 5 laps to go. And at this point, if we don't have a caution within the next lap, then the caution after that will end the race no matter what. So does Logano have enough time here? He is 6/10 between himself and Denny Hamlin. It takes a minute to get those tires warmed up. Of course, the 48 way off the pace into turn 3 is going to stay on the track. That does kind of mess over Hamlin a tiny little bit. He had to change up his line. So coming out of turns 4, out of the way. Oh no! Oh, he's going to be right in front of the 22 of Joey Logano, and Logano's just going to ride behind him into turns 1. And now that should just make it a breeze as Logano is right there on him. And wow, that probably takes Logano's chances of winning away as the gap is about a second as Logano comes through turn 3. So Denny Hamlin out of turns 4 leads the way with 3 laps to go. And Jay, a bit of a, you could kind of say, an unsportsmanlike moment right there from Alex Bowman.
I'm gonna be honest, as much as we've seen the AI affect these races before, that's the first one I've liked. I have no problem with that happening to Logano. He's one of the only people in this sport that I would say deserved. So good. I'm glad that happened, and Denny Hamlin's going to get an easy ride to the win.
Out of turns too, Logano, even on that clean lap, actually lost a 10th to Alex Bowman. Does not matter at this point about any cautions as they come through turns 3 and 4 for the coming to the white flag. Actually, out of turns 4, Hamlin leads the way to the final lap. It was 1.7 seconds last time by. Logano gains nothing. He loses about half a tenth that time. So Denny Hamlin, 1 win on the season, and out of turns 2 down the spec straight away. He could have already won a couple races, but he is coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. And Denny Hamlin, out of turns 4 at a track he once hated, comes through to pick up win number 2 on the season, and only 8 cars will finish on the lead lap as Joey Logano comes through runner-up. The 10 of Almirola had some issues. He's all the way down in P9, actually a lap down. So Truex gets a very, very important top 3 finish. The rookie of Chase Briscoe gets a top 5. Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 5, just holding off Bubba Wallace there. And then Chris Buescher as well gets a great result. Elliott 8th, and 9th and 10th are Eric Almirola and Eric Jones. So overall, Jay, I think that was actually a pretty calming end to the race. Definitely could have been a lot crazier there, but overall a calm end there. Denny Hamlin, I mean, we kind of thought he was set up to win after his biggest competitors all had issues, got taken out, and here he is, sure enough, proving us right and holding on to win this race.
As soon as I saw Larson had that issue, I kind of thought to myself, well, Hamlin's easily got this race won no matter what, unless something happens to him. Because it was really, in my opinion, just going to be Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin all day long today. And had Kyle Larson not had that issue, who knows? Who knows who would have won? I think those two would have been battling out for the rest of the way. Just unfortunately, Larson had another very, very Larson thing happen to him, and he winds up finishing 2 laps down in 15th.
Yeah, very unfortunate ending for Kyle Larson, of course. Very unfortunate final stage for Kyle Larson. Or actually, end of stage two, it happened. But Denny Hamlin with the victory over Joey Logano, runner up. But like we mentioned, very important day for a guy like Martin Truex Jr. there. Finishes in third place. He came into this race 46 points below the cut line, and we, of course, have already touched upon the drivers right towards the bottom of that cut line that have had issues today. So that's going to be a big gain right there for Martin Truex Jr. Very important day for him. And you got to feel for a guy like Kyle Busch, who was actually running not very far behind Truex, at times ahead of Truex, and was in or on track for a top 10 and ends up P30, just making his hopes of making the playoffs even worse after today.
He was once again having a good run, and we've seen that out of him several times the last couple of races. Just unfortunate that once again something goes wrong, and this time, one of the first times this season, it was out of his control. His engine blows, and unfortunately, he finishes in 30th and not really able to gain anything on Daniel Suarez.
There you see it right there. I guess he will gain, what, 11 points or so. So it'll be interesting to see what it stacks up. But now he had, of course, a lot of his competition that's right around him in points have way better finishes than him. So it's not going to be a great scenario still for Kyle Busch. But there you saw the finishing order on your screen. So stage one, of course, went to Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin held on for the stage two after Larson's issues, and Hamlin holds on to win the race here at Dover in 2021. So next week, we've already mentioned a couple times, Circuit of the Americas, a brand new track to NASCAR. Mentioned it multiple times again. We don't know how that one's going to go. We, of course, hope for the best, but it's definitely going to be something else to say the least. So, excited for that. Jay, before we go into next week, who do you think is going to be the favorite there? Of course, we've never done a NASCAR race there, so who knows who's going to be the top guy. But going into that one, if you had to guess, who do you think it's going to be?
I mean, I think the easiest guess is Chase Elliott or Martin Truex. I think those are obviously the two guys you see always dominate road courses in the sport right now. So the obvious guess I would say is those two without any data. But I don't know if it's going to turn out that way. I really don't know. I mean, there's just so many things that we don't know about the track at all. So I think that the only safe guess, I guess, is those two. But other than that, I don't think you can say anyone else is the favorite.
We'll find out how it ends up next week. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. We'd like to say thank you for all of you to take or for taking the time of your day to watch this episode and the other ones here on the channel. We're about halfway through the regular season now. It's been a blast so far. We're excited for the last half of the regular season, and of course, can't wait to get those playoffs underway. And knowing the way this game is, playoffs are going to be the most unpredictable thing in the world. So very excited for that as well later this year. But that'll do it for myself. And Jay, once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week at Circuit of the Americas. Have a great day, everybody.